So today we're diving into Baylor University, and this is a school that's trying to pull off a really tricky high-wire act. On one side, it wants to be this elite global research powerhouse, but on the other, it's desperately trying to hang on to its identity as a really tight-knit Christian community. So you've got a university trying to be two very different things at the same time. Let's break down how they're even trying to do it.
So you've got this paradox, right? On one hand, you have Baylor, this famous, caring community. I mean, they're so focused on their students that they're ranked number 4 in the entire country for their first-year experience. That's incredible. But then you have the other Baylor, the elite R1 research powerhouse with these huge global ambitions. And that is the core conflict we're talking about. It's like a high-touch, warm and fuzzy college experience trying to live under the same roof as a high-output, cutthroat research corporation.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question. How is that even possible? I mean, really, how can one university be both of these things at the same time? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
All right, so to really get this, we've got to start with how Baylor actually sees itself, how it officially defines its mission. And this isn't just some slick marketing slogan, This is written right into the DNA of the school. Okay, get this. For more than 175 years, Baylor's motto was super simple. Pro Ecclesia, pro Texana. For the church, for Texas. That was it. But then, just recently in 2024, they did something huge. They added a third part, pro Mundo, for the world. Now, that might seem like just a couple of words, but trust me, that small addition signals an absolutely massive strategic shift. It's them putting a flag in the ground and officially declaring their new global ambition.
And that global ambition? Yeah, it has a name. It's called R1. And getting that R1 status has been the engine driving basically everything Baylor has done in the modern era.
So you're probably asking, what the heck is R1? Well, it's basically the top tier, the big leagues. It's the highest designation a research university can get in the United States. Think of it like an exclusive velvet rope club for schools. To get in, you have to prove you have very high research activity, which, when you boil it all down, really just means two things: spending a ton of money on research and graduating a ton of PhD students.
And here's the crazy part. Baylor didn't just decide to go for R1 status. They went on an all-out sprint. In 2018, they launched this strategic plan called Illuminate, and it had one single goal: get R1. And they did it. In December 2021, a full 3 years ahead of schedule. And they're not even stopping to catch their breath. They've already rolled out the next phase.
But, and this is so important, at the exact same time they were racing towards this elite research status, they were also doubling down on that other identity. The famous Baylor Family and that super student-focused culture.
And this right here, this perfectly shows the paradox. So if you look at the U.S. News rankings, Baylor's overall rank is, a solid 88. That's pretty good. But then you look at the first-year experience category, which is basically a direct measure of that caring community thing, and they're number 4 in the entire nation. So the data is telling us that while their academics are good, their student life experience isn't just good, it is absolutely elite.
So how do they pull that off? Well, it's through these incredible, powerful traditions like the Baylor line. Just imagine this. Before every single home football game, the entire freshman class, we're talking thousands of students, all wearing matching jerseys, sprints onto the field and forms this massive human tunnel for the team to run through. It's this instant, epic rite of passage. It's how you take a bunch of strangers and, boom, turn them into a community.
Okay, let's dig into the numbers a bit, because this is where you start to see some really fascinating contradictions pop up.
First up, there's a pretty big gender imbalance on campus. The undergraduate student body is 60% female and 40% male. And look, that 20-point gap isn't just a number. It has a real, tangible effect on the whole campus social scene. At the very same time, Baylor's getting more diverse, and fast. Right now, students of color make up about 36% of the whole student body. But if you look at just the new freshman class, it's 40%. That gap isn't an accident. It's statistical proof that they're making a deliberate push to become a more diverse university, which, hey, lines up perfectly with that new For the World motto, right?
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room: money. You ready for this? The estimated sticker price to go to Baylor for 1 year is $87,372. Yeah, that is a staggering number.
But, and this is a huge but, you have to understand the context here. Baylor runs on what's called a high tuition, high discount model. So yeah, the sticker price is almost 90 grand, but almost nobody pays that.
Over 90% of students get financial aid, and the average aid package cuts that cost almost in half. So the price most families actually pay is way, way lower.
Now, this whole transformation journey, it has not been a smooth ride. Not at all. In fact, you can't really understand modern Baylor without understanding the major crises that have rocked the institution and how they've tried to navigate them.
Between 2012 and 2016, a horrific sexual assault scandal came to light, and it exposed just massive systemic failures in how the university was handling these reports. The fallout was seismic. The president, the athletic director, the head football coach, all gone. In response, Baylor had to implement 105 different verified reforms, basically rebuilding its Title IX office and its entire student support system from the ground up.
And that crisis had consequences that are still playing out today. Right now, Baylor is trying to pull off this incredibly delicate balancing act when it comes to its LGBTQ+ students. So on one side, you have the legal firewall. They've asserted their religious exemption from federal Title IX rules about sexuality to protect their Baptist doctrine. But on the other side, you have this major pastoral move. They officially chartered Prism, which is their first ever approved LGBTQ+ student organization to give those students a safe and welcoming space.
And here is the crucial connection that you have to see. These two things are directly linked. The scandal forced Baylor to build a serious, professional Title IX office. And the huge lesson they learned from all those reforms was that they had to be committed to the welfare of all students, no exceptions. So from that point of view, giving official support to their LGBTQ+ students wasn't just a nice thing to do, it became an institutional necessity.
So, you take all of this, the ambition to be R1, that caring community vibe, the awful crises, and the reforms that followed, and it all leads us to where Baylor is right now, smack in the middle of this grand, fascinating experiment in what a university can be.
And the next chapter has already started. Their first big plan, Illuminate, was all about getting that R1 status. Done. The new plan, Baylor and Deeds, is all about using it. It's a pivot from just building up their own prestige to actually using that prestige to have a real impact on the world. And what's the whole point of this big experiment? Well, it's really to prove something. To prove that their central idea that this thing called a preeminent Christian research university isn't an oxymoron. They want to show that it's actually a synergistic, sustainable model for what a university can be.
Which leaves us with one big final question. As Baylor tries to juggle the demands of its elite researchers, the needs of its undergrad students, and the doctrines of its faith, can it really serve two masters? Can any university? And that right there is the question at the very heart of the Baylor experiment.